Okay, now we're ready to go on to row 3, and this is where the real pattern begins. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, which is our normal thing, right? To give it that little height stitch, and then we're going to turn our work and away we go. Now, this is the one we do our first 2 single crochets, and then we have our repeating pattern, which is a single and then a double. So the row will look like this. We'll chain 1, turn our work, we'll do 2 single crochets, then we'll do a single, a double, a single, a double. Sorry, have an alarm. A single, a double, a single, a double, a single, a double, and then end with 2, go to the last 3 stitches and do 3 single crochets. So it's just going to repeat till we get to the end, and we'll end with 3 singles. Now, if you look at the next row, it looks like the same pattern. You do a single, a double, a single, a double, but it starts with a different number of single crochets so that we are, I don't know if you can see this. This does not say la, 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 la. This is me drawing singles and doubles. So single crochets are my little short loopies, right? And then our row is a double, single, double, single, double, single, double. And so you see how the double stands up taller. And I don't know if this helps, but it helped me. The next row then, on top of each double, our pattern is going to make sure we do a single. And on top of each single, our pattern is going to make sure we do a double. So it's always alternating. And that's what creates our little circle pattern that we can see, right? If you look at this pattern, you can see the little, it's almost like a little circle, and let's point with this because it's cleaner, and there's like a little hole inside each stitch area. That's this little hole, right, where you've made a little gap because you had a double and you only singled on top of it, and you had a single and you doubled on top of it. So that's how this pattern works. So hopefully that wasn't brutally confusing. Hopefully that helped a little bit just to help you visualize. So let's do, whoops, the yarn wrapped around the camera. Let's do row 3. So I'm going to hold my work out so it's straight and I can see what I'm doing. Row 3 says chain 1 and then single crochet into the first 2 stitches. So not skipping one anymore, right? I'm going to single crochet and single crochet. That's my border that we talked about. So I single crocheted in the first 2 stitches, and now I'm in my asterisks. I'm going to do a single and then I'm going to do a double, and I'm just going to repeat that. So I'm going to do a single into this stitch, and then I'm going to do a double crochet. And remember, the only difference in a double crochet is that you yarn over first. So again, you push the yarn away from you and twist it around your hook. So now you have 2 threads on your hook. Kind of hold that out of your way with your finger. You still go through the stitch and pull the thread through. Now I have 3 threads on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, leaving 2 threads on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my double. So now I'm going to continue across until it says there are 3 stitches remaining. So I'm going to do a single, and then, then I'm going to do a double. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I am going to continue that all the way across until there are 3 stitches remaining. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, I buzzed ahead while I put you on pause, and I did a single and a double and a single and a double, and you can kind of see the little holes in the work every so often. My little shell pattern is starting to form, but it doesn't really look bumpy. It's really pretty straight looking. So it's a little hard to glance at a single and a double next to each other and see the difference, but you can see it if you look real close, right? This is a single crochet, and you can tell it's only one little loop-de-loop tall, and this is a double crochet, and if I stretch it out, I can really see the 2 stitches in it, right? So it's a double. So now there are 3 stitches remaining, which is what my pattern said to go until. So I'm going to single crochet into each of those 3 last stitches. And as you get comfortable with this pattern, you can kind of stop counting, because you're always going to do 2 singles at the beginning, and you're always going to repeat single and double, and at the end you're always going to do 2 singles in the last 2. So the pattern gets a little easier to deal with. The only important thing is, as we look at row 4, so I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work to start on row 4, the important different part is that they're saying do a single in the first stitch and then start the pattern. Well, the first stitch of the pattern is a single, so there's your 2 singles, but it's 1 single and then the pattern, whereas on row 3 it's 2 singles and then the pattern for a total of 3 singles. It'll make sense as you get going. But what that does is place, like we talked about, place every single on top of a double and every double on top of a single, so that you start to create that little shell pattern. Otherwise, you'll have an imbalanced piece. If you start lining your doubles up on top of each other and your singles up on top of each other, your piece is going to do this, right? It's not going to be a square flat piece anymore. So I'm on row 4. I've done my chain 1. I'm going to single into the first stitch, and then my repeat begins. So again, I'm going to single and then double. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now, when you have a pattern that's a little confusing, that you have to keep track of, you have to remember where you are in the pattern for it to continue to make sense and to be right, I would recommend that you never lay it down except at a point that you can deal with, right? So if the house is on fire, okay, lay it down. But if you're just done and your show's over, or your timer's going off, or it's, whatever, you want to get up and have a cup of tea, get to a good stopping point. With this pattern, a good stopping point is at the end of a row 4, because that's what you're repeating. Rows 5 through 29 say repeat rows 3 and 4. So rows 3 and 4 go together, right? And so if you always stop at the end of row 4, then when you pick up your work to start again, you'll know you should start on row 3, because that's your unit and that's where you know you stopped. This pattern is a little hard to look at and see what's going on, because the stitches are all just so small. It's all just singles and doubles, and they just repeat, and so there's no big identifying, oh, there's the cluster, I can see where I am in the pattern. So it's a little challenging. For intermediate stops, like in the middle of a row, so your doorbell rang and you just have to get up for a second, try and always stop at the end of the repeating pattern, so after the double crochet. It's a single and a double. A double crochet takes about 3 seconds, so you really can wait to answer the door for those 3 seconds. And so if you always stop after a double, then yeah, I can look at my work and see that my last stitch is a double, but I know it is, so I don't have to scrutinize it too hard. And worst case scenario, if you don't remember where you stopped, just pull out a few stitches and get to where you recognize the pattern. So I stopped and chatted. I stopped at the end of the repeating, which was a double, so now I'm going to pick back up there and start with my single crochet followed by a double crochet, and I'm going to go all the way across and continue this pattern. Now, it's starting to form, right? So I can see this next stitch I'm about to go into is this one right here. And I can see that that's a double, right? Can you see the two little loops of thread? So there's a double. So if that's a double, I know I should be doing a single into it. So I'm going to do my single crochet right there. So again, if I lose sight or if I wonder, oh shoot, am I doing this right? I can look at the pattern. Now I can see that this stitch is a single. There's just the one loop. And so I know that I do a double into that. So although I'm keeping track and I'm paying attention to what stitches I'm doing, I can look at my pattern and validate, give myself some more confidence that I'm doing this right. I haven't lost track of my pattern. I'm not going to wind up with a wonky piece that doesn't make any sense when I'm done. So I'm going to continue across and finish my row 4, doing singles and doubles. Remember, now see, I almost tried to go through right there, but that's not right. My work got twisted. Remember to keep your work turned so you can see that nice top row of those little circles of yarn that tell you you're on the top of your stitch from the previous row, and that's what you want to go into. So I'm continuing with my single followed by a double, going into each stitch, making sure I'm working on the top of the last row, the top of the previous row, because that's where I want to go. And I'm going to continue working until I get to the end. So we're almost there. And what does it say at the end of row 4? Row 4 says go until there are only 2 stitches remaining. So here we are with my last little repeat of the single and the double. And I have 2 stitches remaining. So I'm going to single crochet into each of them, moving my fingers to hold my work. And that's the end of row 4. So I'm going to put my work down for a little bit now. So as I said, I like to pull that thread out big. If I'm going to leave it for a long time, I actually will tie just a little slip knot in that loop. Now my work can't pull out. So if the ball runs away and gets trapped under a couch and I pick it up and pull, I won't pull my work out because I've got a knot. And when I come back, it's a slip knot. So I just give it a pull. I put my hook back in my loop. And sorry, I'm twisted around. I put my hook back in my whopping big loop. And I pull my working thread, tighten it up, and I'm ready to go. So I haven't taken any stitches out or made any new stitches. I just extend that loop and tie a knot in it so I don't lose it. And that way I can wrap my piece up around my yarn, get it tangled with my other piece. As the piece gets bigger, you can secure it with your hook. I like to push the wrong end through because then the hook doesn't get caught on yarn. And there it is, all ready for me to pick up next time. So we're going to repeat rows 3 and 4. I will probably do some more work off camera, and away we'll go.